Hello, this is Raymond Aaron, your monthly mentor, and I'm very excited to be talking to you about messes. Ooh, messes are horrible. I don't know why you joined the monthly mentor program, but I'll tell you one thing for sure. Soon in your life as a monthly mentor member, you're going to be really grateful that we talked about messes because the weight that gets lifted off your shoulders, the giant relief that you'll feel is so enormous as soon as you start clearing some of your messes. The first thing I want to say is that you have a life full of messes. You didn't want it that way, but it seemed to happen. And I'll tell you why. Because you inadvertently have a mess mentor. And who is your mess mentor? It's every single friend you have, every one of your neighbors, every one of your family members. They all have messes. And so you say to yourself, well, I guess messes is part of life. But you know what? The friends that I have, they don't have messes. I don't want anyone around me who has messes in their life because it'll drag me down so that there'll be messes again in my life, and I don't want that. So number one, be careful who you choose as your mentor. Now, I know you didn't intentionally say, I think I'll have my neighbor as my mess mentor because my neighbor has lots of messes, so therefore it's okay with me. You didn't do it on purpose, but nevertheless you did it. You noticed all the messes in all of your friends' lives and figured, well, I guess that's okay for me. But it's not okay. I want you to adopt me as your mess mentor, or let's say your clean your mess mentor or your orderliness mentor, so that you can start having a life that is clean. Now, I'm going to introduce a new thing called the I-GO system, I-G-O. And I stands for identifying some messes that you might eventually wish to clean. G means setting a goal to clean one mess at a time. And O stands for onward. Onward and upward. In other words, scoring your success next month and choosing another mess goal next month, or choosing that same goal that you haven't completely pulverized and getting it the next time. I-G-O, I go, and that's what I want for you. I want you to go. I want you to go to a place that's far from the messes that are in your life now. I identify possible messes in your life. Sorry, not possible messes. Identify for sure messes in your life that you have on a list and therefore can choose one at a time in order to conquer each month. With G, that is a goal, and then the O stands for onward, onward and upward. Next month, you look at how you did and you choose the same goal, but of course you've achieved some of it, so you'll be writing it in a better way. That is, you'll be writing it having already done some of it so that you can do the rest of it. Or if you've completely conquered it, then you go on to another goal. So I've got some notes here because I don't want to forget anything. Let's do the I first. Step number one is identify messes. So the easiest messes to identify, and you'll want to take notes on this, is your physical messes. And what are physical messes? Your closet, your car, your desk, but not just your physical desk like this, but also your computer desktop. When you open up your laptop and look at the very first thing that you see, is it filled with hundreds and hundreds of files that is such a dazzle that you can't even find anything. Because what people do is they put it in files, and they put the files neatly in different places so it's all organized. I notice some people do it, most people do it, some people just have a scattered mess on their home page. And your garage, your basement, your junk drawer. When I grew up, my mother had a junk drawer. I thought everybody had a junk drawer. You see, I chose my mother as my mess mentor, and because she had a junk drawer in the living room that just filled with scissors and scotch tape and elastic bands and just anything that was lying around, she'd throw in the junk drawer. Well, when I set up my first home, I chose my junk drawer and I threw stuff into it. And then I noticed not everybody has a junk drawer, and I decided I don't want a junk drawer, and so I got rid of it. Do you have a junk drawer? Do you have a place that you store your junk? Well, I hope that you don't. And if you do, write it down. Those are physical messes, and they're easy to spot. You might say, oh my gosh, I've got millions of them. You don't actually. When you actually write them down, you'll probably find out that you have about 17 physical messes. But the reason that you think you have thousands or millions is because they never ever go away. They never ever go away. So it's not that you have millions of them, it's rather that you have about 17 of them, but you never do anything about them. Or maybe with great heroic effort you clean your desk, but then a month later it's messy again because you forgot to set up a system of making sure it stays clean. and you forgot to set up a delegation, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's just list our messes. We're at step 1, I, which is identification. There's also relationship messes. Is there somebody that you have injured in some way and you need to apologize? Or do you have to return an item to somebody? Or have you made a commitment to somebody to do something and you've reneged on that commitment but they don't know it, or they do know it and you haven't made amends, or you haven't recommitted to either doing it again or doing something else? Those are relationship messes. There's also emotional messes, and that is, have you made a commitment to yourself to do something, to eat properly, or to exercise regularly, or to read a certain book, and then you feel bad, not because you haven't read the book, but you feel bad because you've got an emotional mess, that you've made a commitment to yourself and you haven't lived up to it. And then there's also recurring messes, and that's another thing to keep in mind. For example, do you eat badly every weekend? Or do you eat badly when it's a holiday? Or do you gain weight every winter? You see, notice recurring messes, because it may be the off-season where you're not doing it right now, but when you think about it, you say, oh yes, every time it's my birthday I eat too much cake, or every time it's Christmas, or whatever are the recurring messes in your life. So now, part 1, which is I, of IGO, is simply identifying lots of messes. And what I would like you to do is make a list, and you can categorize them under physical, relationship, emotional, and recurring. And don't worry if something could fit in one or both or 2 or 3 different categories. Don't worry about that. Just make a long list. The purpose of the categories, physical, relationship, emotional, and recurring, is simply just to trigger your thinking into coming up with ideas. So now we've done part 1, I, which is identify possible goals for the future. They are real messes, but they may not be a goal for this particular month. So they're future goals. They're things you're going to clean up in the future, but you need to have a list of them so that your mind can be at ease. You see, if as you wander around the home you say, oh, I've got to clean that, oh gosh, I've got to take care of that one day, then every time you come across it you feel bad. But if you have a list called future messes I'm going to clean, or current messes I'm going to clean in the future, then whenever you see it, you say, oh yes, it's on my list, don't worry. Oh yes, don't worry, that's on my list. Then at least you have a level of comfort.